Record this. There we go. Fabulous. Okay. Can you see the slides okay, everybody there?
Yep, spot on.
Perfect. Okay, so welcome to this information call for the cross-member mentoring program for the RFG. My name is Deanne Logan. I'm a freelance learning and development consultant, and I've worked with RFG since the idea stage of this and helped develop this program. So we're really excited to take this program into its third year. So the purpose of this call, as I've mentioned, is just to give you some insights, some information, share some highlights with you, and take any questions that you may have about the program and see where we get to. And then hopefully I will see you all on the program as we start to do some matching in January time. So in terms of what we're going to cover today, we'll look at what is the aim of the program and the goals, and then we'll look through what mentoring is and isn't, benefits, skills of a mentor, what we're looking for, why you might want a mentor, and then a bit around the process and what you can expect in terms of support and learning and development. As I said, please do stop me at any point if you've got any questions as we go along. So the overall aim for RFG when Maggie and the team and the board were looking at this program is how do we allow people to connect across industry? RFG have over 100 membership companies or companies that are members within the group. And what that means is just this incredible opportunity to share knowledge and learn and connect and help to develop the careers of those in rail freight. So we will have people on the program as mentors and mentees with varying lengths of experience and service in rail freight and different backgrounds as well. And that's part of the beauty of this program. It just allows people to connect and share all of that insight and experience that you don't always get when you're having mentoring programs within your own organization. So it's a fab opportunity. So these are some of the goals. We want to promote that collaborative working. It's all about connecting different people, different industries. We had 29 different organisations join over the last 2 years. Each year, 29 different organisations when we looked at where everybody was working. And what that means is just that it was just such a great choice in terms of making sure we match you with somebody outside of your own organisation. We want to help people share knowledge, expertise, and insight. And ultimately, this is about how do we keep people in freight? How do we improve the attraction and retention and engagement of talent within rail freight? And ultimately, to provide an understanding of rail freight. But it's interesting, and I'll come to it in some later slides. There are many reasons why people might want a mentor, and an understanding of rail freight is often one of them, but not the only one. There's usually tons more reasons why a mentor might benefit somebody. So the European Mentoring and Coaching Council, which is the one of the two main global bodies who look at mentoring and coaching in organizations, in business. This is their definition of mentoring. So they talk about it being a learning relationship where we share skills, knowledge, and expertise through development conversations, experience sharing, role modeling. I think it's a really lovely definition because it just shows you how broad this is, that it's about a relationship, it's two-way, and it's around how we share some of that information and knowledge that those people who join as mentors and have probably quite a lot of experience within freight, how do they share some of that with other people? This slide tells you about lots of the top benefits when you look at all of the research and data that comes out of mentoring. So, including lots of programs that I've helped to deliver, but also globally looking at the benefits of mentoring. I guess the ones that we're going to look at today on this call are benefits for the mentor, benefits for the mentee. I think interestingly, mentors often think, well, I want to join because I want to give back and I've got lots to share without necessarily thinking about all of the benefits that they get. And we ask that question of mentors when we check in through the program to just say, what are you learning? How is it going for you? And these are some of the top ones that come out. So I won't read through this whole list, but I think the piece around having your ideas and assumptions challenged and expanding your own network, There's lots of mentors that have been on reciprocal site visits with their mentee and just see looked into a different organization and met people that way. So there's so many benefits to join as a mentor as well as for mentees. So let's come across to that column. So I talked before, hopefully this is about being able to increase your knowledge about freight, but often there's lots in there that are the the things that are not so measurable, so self-esteem and confidence, mentoring will often build those. That tends to be lots of the verbatim feedback that we get from this program and from mentees is that people say, my confidence has increased so much over this year through my interactions with my mentor, which is incredible. But there's lots in there around network, hopefully being able to increase your likelihood of managing change or going through change if you're having that in your organization, and just having that safe, confidential space outside of your organization, outside of your line manager relationship, where you can talk things through. How are things going? How are you feeling about your career? What might be next? What development do you need? What relationships are a little bit tricky that you might have at the moment? Having that space can be incredibly powerful. Any questions so far before I delve into skills?
All good.
Okay.
Nothing from me.
Yeah, just stop me anytime if you've got anything. So what we're asking mentors to have a think about are their skill sets, and not only the knowledge and their experience within their career and within freight, but also some of those core skills of a leader. So how the coaching and questioning skills can support a mentoring relationship, the active listening part, sharing experiences and stories is probably what most people think of when you think of mentoring. I'm going to be learning from my mentor, so a mentor will share lots, and that should be a really key part of it, but it's definitely not the main part of it. There'll be an element of all of these hats within any given session that you're having with a mentee. And I think it's also all right from a mentor perspective to say, I don't have all the answers that my mentee needs. So, how about I put them in touch with somebody else in my network, or I set them up with a site visit with somebody else in my organization? And that's a key part as well. So, it's not about you having to know absolutely everything as mentor. So we see here there's a balance, challenge and support, that non-judgmental piece, emotional intelligence, so key. That comes out of all of the leadership data, that research that's being done and looking over the next 5 to 10 years. The emotional intelligence piece is huge. So how do you help your mentees raise their awareness and think about the impact that they're having as well? So just a few top skills there that we're asking mentors to think about. And then some reasons why you might want a mentor. So obviously learning about rail freight, you can see from this list here, there's lots around leadership skills, self-awareness, developing network, learning new skills. So there'll be maybe a really mixed reason for you wanting to have a mentor. And at this point, you might think, well, I definitely just want to know more about freight. And that's brilliant. But actually, as you go along, you might think, actually, this is such a good opportunity to think about other things. It's amazing what crops up over the course of a year. And ultimately, I suppose, how much our roles or organizations or personal lives can change over a year that you might need to focus those conversations on something differently some months compared to other months. So I thought I'd give you some highlights from the 2023 programme. So we're still we're not in the middle, but we're coming towards the end of the 2024 programme, but I haven't got all of that data to share with you. So I just wanted to give you some of the highlights from the first year that we ran this. So we matched 40 mentees with around 40 mentors. Some mentors took on more than one mentee, 27 different organisations, and we ran over 12 months. What was interesting about the first year that we ran this is that we tried to encourage a meeting every single month. We said every 4 weeks, ideally, is when you'd have a meeting. And for some people that worked, and for others it didn't. So actually, there's a bit of a shift in the program this year. I mean, you can see there the piece of data around at 6 months, most people had around 5 meetings anyway. But this year, what we said was, you decide that with your mentor mentee. You set the time scale, you set how it works in your diaries, and just make sure that that works for the two of you. So ideally, you'd have somewhere between 6 and 12 meetings over a year. And I think that little bit of flexibility has just meant that there's less pressure when you're busy in your roles to actually try and fit something in every single month. Because you know you'll have busy periods. It might be summer where people are a little bit more unavailable. So we've tried to flex that a little bit more this year and give you some guidance rather than asking you to specifically have a meeting every month. At 6 months of the first year, we had 80% of relationships still active. So you might think, oh, what happened to the other 20%? And some of that was just natural. Some people left their roles or left their organizations. And there were one or two relationships where they said, actually, I've kind of got what I need from the relationship. And they just kept in touch a bit more informally. So again, I think that is just to show you that this program is to give you some structure, it's to link you in with somebody, it's to give you resources. But ultimately, when you're going, it's about the relationship that you have and making that work for your needs. So, I hope that gives you some confidence that this isn't rigid and you've got to do something by a certain date and we're going to be absolutely checking you've had a meeting every month. We're not. You're going to be two adults working in a relationship and you make it work for yourselves and you know that you've got framework and somebody that can support you as you go through that. This was a really great statistic. We never asked anybody to do site visits as part of this, and actually we don't match based on geography. Now, saying that, if you specifically put in the notes in your application form, I do want somebody that's close to me, then I could look at that, but it won't definitely be able to happen because what we've asked is people to be able to do this virtually so that we have much more flexibility in how we match. But what has happened is mentors and mentees have made considerable effort to still meet face to face sometimes. So I think that's an interesting one to discuss when you first kick off with your mentor mentee as to whether that's feasible, whether that's possible. I think people have got so much from doing that. So I think it's something I'd recommend, but it's not an expectation of the program. And then you can see at the bottom of that page, there's top 5 skills that mentees are developing with their mentors at 6 months. So we ask you what skills you're looking to develop, and they're like probably recognizable competencies that you would see within the organization you work within. But it's interesting for us to just tap into that to see what is it that people are really focusing on at the moment, what's really important to people. And it just helps us learn about the program and what people need as well. Okay, so how does it work? So you will be matched with somebody based on your experience or needs. So we ask you to fill out an application form, which is a Microsoft form, and it basically just asks you to detail from a mentor perspective, skills and experience, what you can support people with, what's your career history. Also asking the question around, do you want to support somebody who's perhaps a bit more early on in their career or somebody that's a bit more established if you've got a preference? We do usually have a mix of mentees who are maybe earlier in their career or new to freight, but then we do sometimes have people who are much more established, but they're still looking to to progress in their career and do still need some guidance. So there is usually a mixture of people that join the program. From a mentee perspective, this is your chance to say, what would really support me right now in my career? Excuse me. What would a mentor bring to me? What experience would be useful? So you might think, actually, the role that I'm in, I could probably do with connecting with somebody who's got some great commercial experience or pure operational experience, whatever that might look like for you. It's a chance to try and pop that into your application and we can consider that. And so the matching part is me sitting with all the data. So there's no fancy algorithm, which is sometimes how mentoring happens. I've worked on programs like that before, but there's no fancy algorithm. It's Deanne, sometimes with the support of Maggie, if I'm saying, is that a good match with those people who heads up the RFG, and looking at it and making those matches. And so we do that in a real human way to make sure that we can take into account all of your needs. Just take a sip of tea because I'm talking a lot. Excuse me. Now, we encourage you to run for 12 months and meeting, like I mentioned before, every 4 to 8 weeks, but you agree that yourselves. You'll be provided with initial training. So we ask you to sign up to a 1 hour Zoom training. So if you're a mentor, you'll join with other mentors, mentees, you'll join with other mentees. And I'll just take you through what are the expectations, what are some tools, a chance to ask other questions, to just take you through and make sure that you're feeling fully supported for the program and set up to go. And there's a resources folder that you can utilize throughout the program as well. You can come back to there's a mentor and a mentee handbook. So there's loads of things that can help you as you go through the program. Every 3 months or so, I will send out a check-in survey, and it's just a really quick survey to just say, how's it going? How is this meeting your needs? Do you have any questions? So it's a couple of minutes, but we really appreciate that information, and it just helps us to help you too. So sometimes there've been people answering those where I've been able to pick up one-to-one to just answer any queries that they might have. So please do fill out those if you do join the program, because it's really gives us an insight into how things are going. You will have myself as a point of contact. So, like as I said, I've been on this program since the start. So you've got me at the end of an email, and we can plan in calls if you've got any queries. And then new to this year, we are doing optional quarterly mentor and mentee check-ins. So that's usually after I've sent out the survey. There'll be dates in advance, so you'll be able to see them and book onto them if you want to attend. And it's a chance to network with other mentors or mentees, so they're separate calls. A chance to share best practice, to ask questions, any challenges. So it's not about sharing anything confidential. It's just about top level queries that you might have. So just knowing that you've got that support there as well. They've been they've been particularly useful, I'd say, for mentees, mentors. We've probably done much more one-to-one calls, but it was the first year, so we'll see how that goes again this year. I think we've touched on the process already, so I won't go into that as again. And I think the support wise, we talked about initial training handbooks, myself, and all of those bits of learning and development. So some of the things you might find in the folder are coaching key questions, feedback models. So just lots of learning and development support, which you might want to touch on with your mentee mentor. So what's next? So spread the word. If you think this program might be useful for other people in your organization, please do share it. I think if you're thinking of applying for mentor, mentee, or both, reflect on what you can offer and register via the links. I can share the RFG web page in a moment if you haven't got that, which will take you to the application links, and then attend that virtual induction, and we'll take you through a bit more detail in terms of how you kick off the relationship, etc., when you do that training. So they are my slides. So I will just come off share and open up for any questions that you might have about the program.
Just one from me, Deanne. So we complete the form. Is there a time by when we have to complete the form?
Yeah, middle of January. So you've got time.
Okay.
Yeah, so you've got loads of time. And we're looking to kick off the program beginning of Feb, 3rd of Feb. So that
Thank
just
you.
gives me a couple of weeks to just finish up all the matches. But you can basically apply any time from now up until middle of Jan, but see when works for you.
Thank you.
Hi, Deanne. Thank you for that. That was really informative and helpful. I was just wondering, I can't remember if you said, you might have said, but if, so say you put the form in
Yeah.
as a mentee, for example, how long would you expect to have to wait to receive sort of mentor back and have that pairing? Is it, is there a variety of timescale that it might be, or is it?
No, it's one date for everybody just to keep it aligned. So the application stage will run from now until mid-Jan. And then what we'll do is we'll have everybody paired ready to kick off on the 3rd of January. Sorry, 3rd of February. So you'll hear that week leading up to the 3rd of February, who your match is, and I will, link you in with your mentor or mentee. So what we do is we do it as almost one cohort, and we all launch at the same time, just so that we can keep to the same time scales.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay, fab, thanks. Any other questions?
Just like to say thank you, Deanne. That was quite a great presentation there. So mid of January, we need to get our applications in for.
Yeah, exactly.
But
You can do
30th of February
it.
is great.
Yeah, exactly. So what I'll do now in the chat function here is I will just share the RFG website, which has got all the information about the mentoring program on. So you can have a look on there. There's some testimonials, there's all the links, etc. So you can have a look on there and just like I say, the application form itself isn't huge. It'll probably take you 10 minutes to fill out, just to give that a think. If you've got any questions, then please do just drop me a line. I'll just put my email in the chat as well. So it's deanne@mulberryandmint.co.uk. So feel free if you've got any queries, then just drop me an email, and I'm happy to answer those as we go as well. Fabulous.
Fantastic. Thank you very much.
Welcome. Well, if there's no other questions, I'll let you get back to your Tuesday, and I'll hope to see you all on the program. Thanks so much, everyone. Take care.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Cheers.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.